What is up? It is DigiWatchTCG coming to you with a deck profile. Now today I'm really excited about this deck. This is going to probably be the deck I play in BT8. This is the BlackWarGreymon Red edition of the deck. I really am excited for this deck to come out. If you're really excited, or if you have any comments or thoughts, please like, subscribe, and leave comments below. With that said, I don't want to waste too much time. I'm going to get right into it. So first, we're going to talk about the eggs right here. So we are using our eggs basically as our draw engine, Koromon and Goreymon. Now, Goreymon has basically a very similar effect to Koromon, but they basically, one thing you need to know is on attack, they both draw. This deck does do a lot of searching on its own via the Agamons, but basically does not do any drawing in between. So with Koromon underneath a couple of these cards, you do get a little bit of a draw engine, so that is something that the deck is a little weak on, but the amount of searching to get your components is very powerful. And of course, you know, this whole mechanic in the game is when you digivolve, you draw, so just something to lay out there. Going on to the Agamons, I'm going to just group these three together before I talk about all of them. Is you have the Agamon from BT8. Now this one is reveal top 4 of your deck, add 1 card with Greymon in its name, and 1 Dragonkin in its traits to your hand. Place the rest on the bottom. It can digivolve from black or red, and it is a 3 cost for an on-play effect. It is 2000 DP, which is a little weak, but for the main reason you're using it is more just to get your pieces. So this is one of the, out of the 4, one of the choices I would recommend for determining if you're going to put this in raising or playing. Depending on the game state and depending on what your Digivolution stack is, this is very much a thinking type of thing, because if you notice, this does not allow you to digivolve in your reds. Like, so your Oguni, right here, just for example, my Gunimon and the Greymons, they're red. They cannot go onto this Agumon. So you have to think about what you're actually doing. This Greymon will work with it, but this might be a better for an on-play effect, depending on what your your card stack is. This one here is a play of one of. This is one of the flex spots. You could definitely put this another card over here. But basically, you draw, you play it to reveal the top 5. You get a tamer from your deck to your hand. The rest go to the bottom. That's really what it's here for. It's just kind of getting your pieces. And then the last Agumon over here, that is the searcher, is the reveal top 3 of your deck. Add 1 Greymon, Nominimon from your those cards, except for the ones mentioned here, and place the rest on the bottom of your deck. Again, just working with the consistency. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about these 3 first before I get to this one over here is that these 3 are very powerful on plays, and they work really well with Nokia. So Nokia's on play is that you can play an Agumon or Nagabumon from your hand without paying a memory cost. So you play Nokia, you automatically get one of these, if you have in your hand, to the field, which basically will set up for later plays. The really powerful thing as well is that Nokia is something that really is going to help allow the deck to get to, I guess, work well together, and it is one of those central pieces, I will say, if you're looking at like what has to be in the deck versus what can be flexed on. The Nokia, I feel like, has to be played at its 4, but you know, everyone can make their decks obviously different. Agumon here is the promo one. This is 2000. DP if it has a Greymon in its on top of it. We are basically just playing all Greymons except for 1, which is again a flex spot. So this is definitely one of the ones that you want in raising. Again, the other one I would like to say is a good raising one is this Agumon, the black one, but only if you have the right requirements. So again, this deck, you have to think about what you have in your hand and what you're mainly going to be able to play. If you have the Greymon in hand and you're like, I know I'm going to be able to go over the black Agumon, then you do that. You put it over the black Agumon, and therefore you have your setup. Now, again, if you don't have that and you notice all the Greymons other than this one here are red, I would probably go for this Agumon over the other one. Going to our Greymons, and our level 4s at least, is the black Greymon. It has an inherited only. So first off, there's a few things I want to talk about this card and why I feel it's really good. Number 1, if you have a red Digimon in play, this Digimon gains blocker. That's inherited. It's a 2 cost to Digivolve from red or black, which is a very good plus. And also, it's a 6,000 DP, which is very relevant. The reason why I say that is because Gorymon over here, depending on your ratios, says that if this Digimon has 6,000 DP more, you draw one. So it works with Gorymon, number one. Number two, it can Digivolve from basically any of its rookies. And three, it's at 6,000 DP, which is very powerful just in itself. It is not a blocker itself, unfortunately, like the previous sets, but it is still very, very powerful. I really do like this version of the Greymon. This is another flex spot, the Gunimon. So a Gunimon, I like the idea that maybe if your plans don't go, I usually think of like what's the worst case scenario that can happen here, and my worst case scenario is that you just put everything out there and there was nothing you can do about like one card getting in your way, like this guy hit in security and basically destroyed your entire stack or your field or something like that. And now it's like, what do I do? I still have plays to make. You can go into a Gunimon, you can Digivolve on top of that with other Digimon to continue your turn if you can. So I personally think one Agunimon might be a good choice, but it's very flexible. You could definitely put this another card in here, or change the ratios as you can see over here. Speaking of, going to the next one, you have the Digivolving Greymon, where when you Digivolve and Agamon is one of the cards underneath it, you gain one memory, so that makes this a 1 cost to Digivolve. And then the Inherited is that you gain whatever is on top of it, as long as it has Greymon's name or Omnimon, it gains 2,000 DP on your turn. Again, really powerful stuff. I really like it. I think it's very relevant for resource management in this deck, and that's my big thing. My big play style is more along the lines of resource management. I'm a very big blue player, not the hybrid blue, but I really do like the color blue because they are able to resource manage. And when you see something like this, it makes me happy when I see that you can Digivolve and it reduces it by 1. Greymon, security +1 attack. Not going to go into that. It adds more aggression. This one is the new Digivolving Metal Greymon, that when Digivolve, you Digivolve 1, and you can delete a Digimon with 3,000 or less DP. And also has an Inherited, which is really relevant when you get to your Mega, of while this Digimon has Dragonkin or Machinist traits, it can also attack your opponent's unsuspended Digimon. That is very, very powerful in this deck. The fact that it's dual colored is good. The only thing out of this is the 4 cost that it takes to Digivolve, but that is not necessarily a problem in this deck, and I'll get to why. We have the Metal Greymon Ultras mode, where when Digivolving, if you have a Metal Greymon underneath its name, you delete one with 4,000 or less. It's a 1 cost if you do that. If it's 3 when you Digivolve from a 4, which is not like any of the other Greymons in this in the field here. Also, Inherited it's another 2,000 DP booster if you have an Omnimon or Greymon in source. Really, really powerful when you're thinking about giving your Megas additional effects. Additionally, this is the other version I play, is the piercing version. You can Digivolve from black or red, which means it's very, very usable with the Greymon over here, all its champion levels. And also it gets it piercing if it has Machine or Dragonkin in its traits. Going to our big boss monster, we have BlackWarGreymon. Wow, this boy's big. 12,000 DP. Having the ability to delete a Digimon or a Tamer that play cost adds up to 6 is very, very powerful. Most of the time, if not all the time, you're going to have a black and a red in its Digivolving sources, which is what allows this Digimon to do that. When you also delete the opponent's Digimon, you can unsuspend itself and basically do whatever you're going to do with it next. Whether it's being able to swing into another of their Digimon or being able to perform another security check, it's very, very good. Keep in mind that if you have this underneath it, it can attack unsuspended Digimon, so you can get rid of 2 of their unsuspended Digimon. If you have stuff like this underneath it, that means that you're going to have it at 14,000 DP or 16,000 DP with the Agamon as well, if it's underneath it. Really, or even just having the extra security attack, depending. Or giving it piercing, which is also very powerful too. So, like, if you have this plus the Ultras mode and then Digivolve onto that, guess what? Now you have a piercing Digimon that can attack twice if they have suspended Digimon at 14,000 DP. That is a very, very big boy. WarGreymon here, another flex spot. I'll get into a few of the other choices you can go into, but WarGreymon, it is a very powerful card. Being able to have that effect of a delicate plan in there that doesn't activate security skills of options when you swing into is very good. Also having the security +1 when it digivolves, just have to keep in mind you don't want to pass turn with this card on the field because it loses at the end of turn. And if you have this Greymon, the one from Star Deck 1 underneath it, it's going to perform 3 security checks. If you have the security check here, plus Altruist Mode, plus maybe an Agamon, then you're having this guy basically be 2,000, 4,000 additional DPs, making it 15,000, who can do 3 checks potentially. 1, 2, and its regular security swing. Very, very powerful in terms of that mechanic. Now, I do have some other choices. I will get into it later. I'll bring the screen down, and you can see a bunch of the other WarGreymons that I have choices for. Omnimon for Blitz for game. Dark Gaia Force. Choose any of your opponent's Digimon that's cost is 15 or less and delete them. Board Wipe or Big Boy Destruction. This is what this card is for. I had a discussion with Bowery Inc. If you look at our video, it's on his channel, which basically says like what our top picks of the format is going to be. And Dark Gaia Force, I said for being able to board wipe your opponent, I think that's really powerful. But the fact that you can also delete an Omnimon or Omnimon Sword or defeat if it gets hit in security or anything like that is also a very, very powerful effect. So I do like this card. I think 2 is good, but it might change in terms of ratio. A delicate plan, just to make the other Digimon I have gain that options can activate effect is very powerful as well. Crimson Blaze. This was actually Battle Ready's pick for one of the best cards, and I truly didn't really get it until I started realizing how much synergy it has with certain decks. This is very, very powerful. And if you think about right now in our BT7 format, if this card was released, how much it would nerf a lot of the other decks in the format that basically have like when this card is deleted, you could play this Digimon or a hybrid Digimon or whatever. But basically, the fact that you have this little line here on the bottom says your opponent can't play Digimon by effect until the end of their next turn is very relevant in this format, and being able to stop that in the terms of hybrids is one thing. With the deletion hybrids, I'm talking about like Ancient Greymon. I'm talking about certain things like Ancient Garurumon or other effects that basically give the 10 warriors. I believe they all have that same effect. But the big thing that's going to be relevant is that when you get into our BT8 format, there are in the starter decks, those cards, play cards from your security or from underneath its in its Digivolution sources or its trash, and being able to stop that in a turn is very, very powerful. And even with the Eismon, if they had not touched Eismon and it was still going to be at 4, Crimson Blaze would definitely be one of the cards that becomes very meta, and I'm not even sure, it might have been played at a greater count in other, in the Japanese format, the OCG format. I would consider bumping this up maybe to 2 or possibly side decking more of these because it is such a relevant deck. It depends on what our meta is going to look like. Red Memory Boost, because again, the biggest problem here is draw power, but the second biggest is gaining memory. And being able to do that. And with the Tamers, we'll get to that in a second, this is your way of kind of getting around that problem. So I do like that. Marcus and Nokia. Now, I'm going to talk about this. Some people are going to elect to play Tai. I think that's the wrong move. I think Marcus is much more relevant. Marcus is a memory tamer, and also when you attack with a Greymon, which practically everything here is, and it's Greymon in its name, so it's really much everything you have. You gain 1 memory. So that is number 1. So you can keep your turn going, even with Marcus, even like when you're at 0 memory, and then just kind of start to gain back that memory. And as far as I know, there's nothing out there that stops tamer memory. But the big thing is Nokia. Nokia. This is why I said like the 4 cost for the Metagrammon wasn't a big deal, is because when you Digivolve, you can tap Nokia to go to 3, which is basically like any of the other 5s. But if you have more than 1 Nokia, you can put this down to 2, which is very, very relevant. And it could basically allow you to go into your BlackWarGreymon in the same turn, and may even allow you to still attack with them. So that is something to keep in mind, and why Nokia is in this deck. It's very much a synergistic like centerpiece for this deck. Now, some alternate choices I have is Chimeramon. So this is, you can place one level 5 or lower Digimon in its trash under this card, and then it gains the colors that are underneath it. And if it has more than 4, then it's going to gain 4,000 DP, putting it at 12. Now, this is good because, one, you can use 2 level 4s, but also you can gain basically multiple effects by being able to go into your 4s. So you could have the Greymon, you could have this one over here, it gives additional DP. So you get the security plus the DP one. And then on if you have a Metal Greymon in your trash, you can also play that underneath. So it can gain that effect of being able to do Pierce or being able to do whatever it needs to. Additionally, with that, you'll be able to Digivolve on top of it. If it has like another one of those colors. So if you put the Metal Greymon that has black and red, then it gains black and red. I wish there was one more color just to give it an extra 4,000 DP, but Cyclomon, I could also see why people play this, is because this is a very big transitional point. If you do get stuck where Agamon is basically your only Agamon that you have, and there is no way of being able to reach your 5s, Cyclomon might be a better choice than some of the other ones here. So that might be something to think about. Maybe you take out like one of the Greymons, or you take a Gunimon out, or you can even take like an Omnimon out. With that said, I'm going to just finish up this video with just talking about a few alternatives. So the big one I wanted to talk about was you can pretty much not play these two over here and switch out to other versions. Now, if you're playing the Chimeramon build, I would highly suggest using the BlackWarGreymon, because you can unsuspend it. First off, it allows you to Digivolve on top of it, which is important. Obviously, you can also play this hard play it. But if you're Digivolving on top of it, you're going to gain, you may be able to use Nokia, it just synergizes with it much better. But being able to basically board wipe your opponent by being able to attack all their Digimon with the highest DP is very, very powerful. And if this is combined, for example, with the ability to attack unsuspended Digimon, which is the Metal Greymon's ability here, then you are going to clear everything out no matter what. So that's just something to think about as one of the choices. Now, another choice, if you somehow end up facing a Digimon deck that is more aggressive than yours, and that's going to be very hard, WarGreymon here can also add a level of block or a level of resistance to that, and just being able to block your opponent. Again, you can really just use this more consistently if you use the Chimeramon. Lastly, though, as final choice, and it's not the best choice in all honesty, is playing the WarGreymon that has Blitz. So keep in mind, this is not WarGreymon that unsuspends and does Blitz. This is just Blitz. So you have to make the decision of, if you know that you can't really attack your opponent, twice, you're going to have to attack your opponent with this version of the WarGreymon. But I will say this, in a mirror match, this is super nice, because if they get to their Black WarGreymon before you do, you can Digivolve on top of this, and if they have the black blocker underneath it, you can delete it without really needing to do anything. You could still attack their security, and then when you're attacking, you delete their blocker while you have a tamer in play. So it's definitely the weaker of the other choices, but I think it is very, very powerful currently. Now, the other choices we either don't have access to, or they just don't fit as well. You could always, people can also play like the starter deck version that does, for every 2 Digivolution sources, it does 1 additional security attack, which again is very, very powerful. But I think that basically the one that says options can activate is a little bit better, just more versatile personally. With that said, though, that's pretty much the entire video. I know that it's a little long, but I did want to go a little bit into an analysis of everything. I'm really excited for this deck. I can't wait to play it. I have my promos. If you don't have your promos, definitely pick them up. I'm trying to max rarity this deck a little bit, but please be smart with how you use your money. If you're just looking to have fun and you're not really worried about prices, then just get the pieces that you need. Anyway, like, subscribe, leave your thoughts below, and see you soon.